Thakkar joining in with us. While from the research team, we have Harsh as well as Lisa. Very good afternoon to all of you all, and I'm going to be starting with the first stock for today. Let's talk about AB Capital because the board of directors have approved a fundraise of up to they had approved this of 3,000 crores on May 11th. And now in a follow-up yesterday, an announcement came that the board has approved a preferential issue of 1,250 crores, and the promoter preferential issuance will be is to be undertaken at rupees 165 per equity share, which was a discount at the closing price of yesterday, if you see it. Now the participation from promoters and promoters group would be as follows. Rupees 1,000 crores is going to be from Grasim Industries Limited and 250 crores from Surya Kiran Investment Private PTE Limited as well. So yes, mainly this is the reason that we were seeing a sharp uptick coming in AB Capital as of now. And post this, obviously we've seen that the stock has given up some of those gains there and still holding on to a gain of 0.6%, Cheryl.
All right, that's AB Capital for you, a big news maker, however, giving up most of its morning gains. But let's talk about Zomato, which continues to climb new highs and has to feature in this afternoon edition of Market Fatafat every week. If you look at the stock today, it hit a fresh 6-month high on back of multiple block deals that took place. So at one point in time, you had Zomato shares that rose as much as 7.7%, actually surpassing the 73 rupees per share mark, which is the highest level since November 14. If you look at the amount of block deals that took place, around 71 lakh shares of Zomato's traded in block deals, and the block deal price was around 71.72 rupees per share. So post that block deal, you saw a sharp spike in the stock price, still holding on to good gains of about 7.3%, and Zomato has finally crossed the 70 rupees per share mark.
Okay, let's move on. And Jay, the first stock that you're going to talk to us about is Mascow Dock on the charts. What are the targets that one should watch out for here?
As now Doc is concerned, stock seems to have completed its short to medium term correction. I'm expecting the target of 925 on the upside from here on. The momentum is absolutely positive in the short term.
Moving on, Harsh, you have one of those two graphite players, that is HEG as well as Graphite India, that is in focus. What's the news flow surrounding both of these counters?
Well, yes, Cheryl, both of them buzzing up and away in trade, and that's on the back of the fact that HEG also held its analyst meet, earlier today itself, and they projected quite a strong bullish commentary coming in from the management of HEG. What they've suggested is that with regard to the decarbonization efforts by the steel making companies across the world, it's progressing and it's progressing well. What they're also suggesting is that they're focused on US sales, and they're going to be focused. US sales, in fact, have gone up by 2.5 to 3 times in the last 2 to 3 years, and US produces around 70 to 72% through the electric arc furnace. They produce steel through that. So they're quite bullish overall on the macros supporting demand, and they believe that global long-term demand continues to remain very strong. HEG in specific has grown capacity quite strongly. They've grown from 80,000 to 100,000 tons is where the capacity will grow in the next 2 years. So they're bullish on that, and they continue to have a timely expansion is what they term it. And on the back of that, you can see both stocks up and away on the back of those global macros as well as specific commentary from HEG.
Viewers, we are going to step into a very short break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back with more.
Welcome back. You're watching Market Fatafat right here on ET Now, a show where we get you all the stocks buzzing based on news flow and on technicals. Let's continue with the journey then of taking you through all the stocks buzzing. Jay, coming to you, Sobha. Where do you see this realty major actually on the charts? Do you see a good, bright future coming in for this one, given the fact that we've had a lot of brokerages say that the future looks bright for realty players?
Absolutely, in fact, I think that the long-term cycle for this has reversed. Hence, I think that realty stocks are likely to do good, and Sobha especially technically has provided a nice breakout from falling trend line with an increase in volumes and bullish crossover in its indicators. I'm expecting these prices to head towards the levels of 615.
Bring an out on those levels for Sobha as well. Let's move on, and Lisa, Paras Defense, why is this one in focus?
can see the stock is surging in trade and it's up around 8% as we speak, and that is because they have announced a joint venture with an Israeli-based precision technology company which is Controp. Now the joint venture will be formed to provide manufacturing, installation and also logistic after-sales support in the electro-optic and infrared field, in keeping with the Make in India initiative, and this will be for the defense sector. So Paras Defense will be holding around 30% stake in the joint venture, while 70% will belong to Israel-based Controp company. So this will help them create new opportunities in the global as well as the domestic-based defense opportunities. The stock has gained around 7-8% versus the slim gains by Nifty, and also it has gained the most in nearly 14 months. So that was on Paras gaining on the back of the joint venture announcement.
Moving on, let's talk about DCM Shriram. Then Jay, if you look at the charts of this particular counter, has not given good returns over the last 1 year or even for the matter of 6 months. It's just that now the stock is trying to find some support and find some consolidatory phase. Where do you see this headed from here on? Is this a buy according to you?
You pointed out that after having fallen quite a lot, the stock has bounced back and thereafter consolidated for some more time. So I think that from here on, now again the upward momentum should begin. The retracement of the entire fall is likely till the levels of 910 on the upside.
Okay, 910 on the upside. That's the level that you should be keeping an eye out on. Let's move on and talk about Grasim. Now, this one is in focus. Yes, obviously the AB Capital news flow is separate, but what Grasim has done is now they have tested a launch of painting service under the Sparkle brand, and Jeffries has come out with a note where they're highlighting that the service is only available for the staff of the AB group and their friends and family at the current state, because they're still trying it out. The product is produced from dealers of other firms as well. An interesting move as Grasim gears up with the first capacity slated for commissioning by March 2024. So obviously we do know that there is that tough competition which is coming in for Grasim in the paint space as well. So this is a new entry that they are making in over there as well. Other than that, obviously, you know, what they also, analysts are also highlighting in terms of the launch, that this is going to be in Mumbai, Pune and Bangalore going forward as well, once they make appointments on size. And this service product launch is something that in their view, which could be a test wave, testing the waters and get feedback from customers and see how they actually are feeling about it. So let's keep an eye out on Grasim on the back of this.
All right, let's shift focus then and let's talk about cement player Nuvoco Vista. Jay, how are the charts looking for this one?
This is looking really good. I mean, after a good amount of correction, I would say the stock has provided a breakout from a falling channel, and the move previously was a clear, an impulsive move. So Nuvoco is now likely to head towards the levels of 395 to 410.
Let's talk about Birla Soft. The management actually met Incred, and there were some key takeaways that Incred has written on that particular front. They are saying that the demand environment actually remains challenging with delay in decision making. They are saying that the senior leadership restructuring is progressing pretty well, and the replacement are through a combination of existing employee, that's promotions, and external hiring as well. They're saying that the company is focusing on quality of business and must-have accounts. Also, the sale incentives are now linked to revenue and margin versus TCV earlier. The delivery teams are now getting incentivized for mining existing accounts. Also, they're saying rationalization of clients may continue in FY24. They say the conclusion of disengagement services for InvaCare is on track. So that's the note coming in from Incred on the management meet takeaway of Birla Soft. However, you can see the stock is holding on to gains of about 1.6% as we speak.
Let's move on to the next one. And Harsh, NHPC, why is this one in focus today?
Signed an MOU, Vinny. A fresh MOU coming in with Vidyut Utpadan Company Limited, which is a Nepal company, and it's for joint development of a hydroelectric project of around 480 megawatts, which is a run-of-the-river hydropower project situated in Kalikot district of Karnali province in Nepal. And on the back of that, the stock did see a bit of an uptick. Also, they had declared a strong set of numbers which came through just a couple of days back as well. That was the other reason why NHPC was in focus. But broadly, as of today, the focus is on this new project that they've won, and of course they're looking to double power production over the next 3 to 5 years. So NHPC in focus on the back of a new MOU signed.
Okay, Jay, let's talk about Nykaa, and this particular counter shockingly is surging in trade today. Do you think that one should be happy and expect the surge to continue?
In the short term, it can definitely move up further, in the levels of almost 145. Reason being that the stock has, fallen quite a lot, and now we are seeing good amount of positive divergence on the charts, and it has provided a breakout from a sideways consolidation as well.
Short term, maybe we could see an up move for Nykaa. That's the word coming in from Jay. Let's move on, talk about Minda Corp. Lisa, what is the reason for this? You picking out this one today?
Yes, Minda Corp, the board will be meeting today to discuss the fundraising plans, and this will be through issue of equity shares, and it will be either through QIP or right issue. So as we can see, the stock is around 4% in today's trade, and that's not all. It also touched a new high of around 295 today in an otherwise subdued market. So yes, they will be raising funds, and even if we look at the 5-day chart in the last 1 week, the stock has gained around. It has gained on the back of a good result posted. In fact, the result that it posted, it showed a revenue growth of around 45% on year-on-year basis, which was higher than the industry growth. And out of all the analysts tracking the stock, 75% has a buy on the stock, giving an upside of around 25% on Minda Corp. So that was on Minda Corp, gaining in today's session on the back of fundraising.
Move on and talk about the real estate names. We have DLF, we have Godrej Properties. All these are in focus today. Why? Because the real estate property registration in the month of those numbers have come out for 2023. In terms of when you look at it in Mumbai, the housing flat registration dipped by 7% on a month-on-month basis, was largely flat on a year-on-year basis. And overall, when you look at it, still the second best May performance in the decade after May 2022. The registrations were down by just 15 units YOY as well. For Maharashtra specifically, if you're looking at it, at large, registrations rose by 12% on a month-on-month basis as well, and registrations in Delhi edged up by 10% on a month-on-month basis. That's why we're seeing that rise coming in DLF. Even if you look at Godrej Properties, that's buzzing as well, because it's more of a Mumbai, Maharashtra based company as well, where they have a lot of projects here as well, and that is why the buzz coming in these two stocks specifically.
All right, moving on, Jay, let's talk about UTI AMC. How is this looking on the charts to you?
Well, see, I would say that in the short term, I think that it likely go up. Either it is UTI or HDFC AMC. However, UTI AMC has a better chart relatively. The stock has fallen down quite a lot, and now it's started to recover as well, and we are seeing a good reversal in the indicators as well. So 760, 790, these are the targets which are likely in the short term.
Okay, let's move on. And Cheryl, I think you have picked out from the pharma space Biocon. A lot happening in this space today.
Absolutely, Vinny. And if you look at it, it's a negative news flow coming in for Biocon. You have Coherus, which is a global company. They've said that they will be launching Humira at 85% discount. Remember, the Biocon was set to launch this particular drug, Humira, around July 2023. About 100 million revenue contribution was expected from Humira in FY24, and about $250 million contribution in FY25. This is what IIFL had written in a note, and they valued Humira at about 33 rupees per share on the SOTP value. So on back of this announcement that you have Coherus that has gone ahead, launched this drug before Biocon, and that too at an 85% discount globally, is the reason why the sentiment has soured for Biocon. The stock is down about 2% as we speak.
Okay, let's move on, talk about Bajaj Finance then. Harsh, what's the reason for you picking this one?
Well, yes, so Jefferies met up with the management and they've released a note increasing their target price from 7,200 to 8,000, or rather 7,300 to 8,200 rupees. So solid increase in target price. The reasons they are bullish is that they believe Bajaj Finance, which holds around 50% of all consumer loans in terms of market share in India, will continue to grow, and they believe that the new verticals give them renewed confidence on the growth of Bajaj Finance. They believe that the new loan verticals include both secured, unsecured, and will balance between profits and scale, is what management has told them. They're going to be venturing into auto, tractor, CV, MFI, as well as emerging corporate, among others. They are also suggesting that NIMs may compress in the short term in FY24, but the cost to income will come off, which is OPEX will come off in comparison to the top line. And that will moderate to below 35%, which will aid profitability regardless. Jefferies, in fact, expects Bajaj Finance to continue to grow at 27% in terms of AUM, 26% in terms of EPS, and 25% in terms of ROE all the way to FY27. Bullish on Bajaj Finance. Despite that, stock a wee bit down after initially spiking up in trade.
All right, that's Bajaj Finance then. And Jay, let's talk about Havells and how is Havells looking to you on the charts. Definitely summer is making sure that all of us are adding on to our electricity bill by keeping those ACs on. But Havells on the charts, do you think one way up for this one?
Absolutely, definitely it has helped quite a lot during the summer, and I hope that from here on it helps quite a lot on the long side as well, because the stock has provided a breakout from a symmetrical triangle pattern form on the daily, weekly charts, quite visible. Indicators have turned bullish, and we have seen long build up as well from the derivatives point of view. So 1365, 1385, these are the two likely targets in the short term.
1385 are the targets for Havells that you should keep an eye out on. Lisa, TVS Motors, what's the reason for this being in focus today?
Yes, TVS Motors in focus, and this is because they have announced their sales numbers. If we look at the numbers, they registered as overall sales growth of 9% on year-on-year basis. We look at the geographical mix, the domestic segment, which contributes around domestic sales, that contributes around 75% of the total volumes. That was up around 32%, but their exports, that saw a decline of around 31%. Moving on to the segment-wise, the motorcycle, it registered 9% growth, but their three-wheelers, that declined 29%. But they are seeing traction in the electric vehicle segment, which is the TVS iQube. They recorded a sales of around 7 times compared to the to last year. This time the volumes are around 17,953 sales volume versus 2,630 units last year. And they also have a strong pipeline of around 30,000 units. ICICI Security has a view on the stock. They say that though they registered good number, however, they expect the EV volumes that will soften temporarily going forward, and that is because of the the reduction in the FAME subsidy. So that was on TVS Motors, up around 2% as we speak.
Okay. Let's move on and share Wipro. That's the stock that you've picked out for us as well from the IT pack. Finally, could we expect a turnaround here?
See, it has fallen down quite a lot, and we have seen a good recovery coming in IT stocks. Few of the media IT stocks are just making all-time highs, like Cyient, and there are few stocks like Infi and Wipro which are struggling. But then, see, overall, short-term chart setup as well as the derivatives data point out that there can be some further recovery in the large cap IT names like Wipro. Hence, I think that 440, 450 is the likely target on the upside in the short term.
On and now talk about SJVN. The company has signed a project development agreement of 669 megawatt lower Arun hydroelectric project, which is in Nepal. The project is expected to be constructed in 5 years at a cost of 5,792 crore rupees. The project will be developed on a BOOT basis and will on the completion will generate as much as 2,901 million units of energy annually, and the company is targeting a 5,000 megawatt project in Nepal by 2030 as well. So on the back of this, we've seen the stock jump up in trade. As of now, given up those trades and gains and trading with almost a gain of only 0.4%.
All right, let's move on then. And before I proceed with the next stock, let's bring on board Naresh Mirani also, who's going to join us now on the show and give us his stock and his top picks on the technical front. But before that, let me proceed with Hindalco then. And Hindalco, if you look at that particular counter, was trading higher by approximately 1.9% earlier on. Now it is trading higher by about 2.5% as we speak. Hindalco's arm Novelis has signed a long-term deal to supply aluminium beverage can sheets to Coca-Cola North America bottlers. The deal comes a few days after Hindalco flagged strong demand after announcing the Q4 results, which boosted the stock. And despite that, the stock has been struggling to break and hold above its 50 DMA. It's actually also, in fact, it has been slipping post Novelis earnings as well. If you look at the stock price performance, it is down a little over 5% since Novelis reported and is down approximately 12.5% so far this year. But if you look at the stock today, definitely holding on to good gains on that inking with that deal, or Novelis inking the deal to supply aluminium sheets to Coca-Cola North America.
Okay, let's move on. And Naresh, good afternoon. And the first stock that you picked up for us today is Hero Moto. Today it's buzzing in trade. Last 1 month surely picked up pace, almost 16% gain in the last 1 month. Do you think this will be the hero in the auto space going forward?
So that is what I feel like. The stock is coming out of a hibernation of almost 10 years. If we go back to 2014-15, the stock used to be 2,500 to 2,800. And for the next 8 to 9 years, the stock has done nothing. In the last 1 year also, if you look at it, the low in last March was around 2,200, 2,250. The low in this March was around 2,250. And in the interim, it went to 2,900 at least almost 5 to 7 times or even more, and got resisted here. Now we are looking at that breakout possibility about 2,900 mark, which would indicate that it's a long-term change, very similar to what happened with the TVS Motors at one point of time. So the risk reward is very interesting. If this trade on the longer term plays out, a big range breakout of the last 2 years, as well as an underperformance cycle shifting from the last 10 years, this could very well go all the way to 3,600 to 4,000 also. So it's a buy at current levels. Would keep a stop loss below 2,750 and expect a move towards 3,600 to 4,000 in the medium to long term.
Very bright future for Hero MotoCorp is what Naresh is envisaging. But Harsh, let me come to you and ask you why specifically today Hero is on a fast track.
Well, yes, on the back of numbers as well. Of course, other than the fact that Naresh is recommending it, we are also seeing that Hero has posted a good set of numbers, 7% month on month in terms of its in terms of the number of vehicles sold in the month of May. It's come in at just below 5,20,000 versus the 4,21,000, which our poll largely indicated the number to be at. So a solid beat coming in there. And even when I'm looking at it, rather month on month, it's gone up 31%. On a year on year basis, it's gone up 7%. So a very solid number in terms of that. And you're looking at Hero Moto, which is the top gainer on the Nifty index today, up 3% plus.
Let's move on, talk about rate gain. This one is in focus on the back of a block deal and a bulk deal that happened now. This happened yesterday. We had the names coming in as well, where you're seeing that Society General has actually bought 9 lakh shares in the company. Other than that, we have Aditya Birla Sun Life Mutual Fund that has also Advantage Life Fund that has bought 13 lakh shares in the company. And Aditya Birla Sun Life Mutual Fund has bought around 12 lakh shares, other 12 lakh shares in the company as well. And the seller of this, what we're seeing coming in is Avatar Holdings, which has sold 5 lakh shares in the company. So on the back of this, that we're seeing rate gain is in focus today, trading with gains of around 2% in trade.
All right, that is a rate gain for you. That is buzzing because you have various funds actually enter this particular counter. But next up, let's talk about Emphasis. And Emphasis is in focus because they signed a definitive pact to acquire 100% of Ebex Limited. However, the company said that they will disclose the value of Ebex acquisition only in their financials. So on back of this acquisition, you can see Emphasis that's trading higher by about 1.5%. Also, Emphasis has been having a good set of news flow over the last 2 days that is supporting the stock price.
Okay. The next one on the charts is Mahindra & Mahindra Financials, Naresh. When you look at it in terms of just 6 months, 1 year, very strong returns that we've seen already coming in from M&M Financials. How much more upside is actually left for this one now?
So the way we look at financials is when they get into a trend and they continue surprise. We've seen what happened with Chola Finance. So the next one in the NBFC block, the first one to actually break out over the last 6 months was Mahindra & Mahindra Financials. After making that breakout move, it tested the 220 mark quite a few times. And now after making that fresh move towards 275 to 290, the current correction was very shallow. It only corrected from 295 to 280. That's classically an indication of a momentum picking up in a big way. So a flag formation done. Yesterday it broke out into a new fresh 52-week high. So a flag breakout done, this could take it next towards 340 levels. Stop loss would be now placed at 290. So the stock is a leader in the NBFC space and expected to be over the next few weeks.
All right, so that's the take coming in on M&M Financial. And if you have been tracking the channel since morning, this was also among the top trades for Naresh, or rather first trades for Naresh this morning. That's M&M Financials for you. But moving on, Lisa, let's talk about Bank of Maharashtra. And how is this one, or why is this one in focus today?
Yes, it's in focus as the board has launched a QIP at rupees 29.98 rupee per share. Well, the quantum of the fundraise that has not been determined, but yes, the stock has seen a high of around 32 as in today's session. On year-to-date basis, if we look, the stock has been flat, but on 12-year basis, the stock has been a top performing among the PSU banks. So that's on Bank of Maharashtra trading high, and it's seeing positive reaction on the basis of this news.
Okay, let's move on and talk about the next one, and that is MCX. This one is falling in trade today, while Morgan Stanley has come out with a note on this one. They're maintaining an underweight rating, given a target price of 1,125 rupees per share. What they're saying is that the average daily traded value in MCX is a key driver for MCX profits and share prices in going forward as well. Now, in May 2023, the average daily turnover was up by 16% on a month-on-month basis to 52,400 crores. The growth is mainly owing to the higher volumes in options, but other than that, they're actually still maintaining an underweight rating and a target price of 1,125 rupees per share.
All right, moving on, Naresh, let's talk about Spandana Spurti. No doubt this particular counter has been in news over the last few days on the stake sale, also the board approval coming in for this particular counter for raising funds via NCD. But on the charts, how is Spandana Spurti looking to you? Do you think it's an attractive play?
So if you look at the stock technically, after the March 20 bottoms, it had recovered to 800, then went back below the March 20 levels in last year, and has recovered back again. And now if you look at a little shorter term charts of the last 6 to 12 months, 650 was a resistance. The stock every time came to 650, flipped back to 500. Over the last 1 month, the stock has started sustaining above the 650 mark. Volumes for the last 1 month are higher. And there is a possibility of the big block happening, which is noticed from the fact of the announcements regarding the promoter stake getting out, the promoter qualification getting out. Technically, it is a stock which is breaking out, and it's not just Spandana, it is a bunch of NBFCs, MFIs which are breaking out. So it's a trend across the board, which is where Spandana becomes an interesting case, wherein one could be looking at an accumulate between 650 to 700 levels. Eventually, once it breaks out, it could go towards that 850 mark. So keeping a stop loss below 620 and an accumulate around every day.
So that is Spandana Spurti, and that is indeed the last talk on this edition of Market Fatafat. Thank you so much, Naresh, Jay, for joining us on the show, as well as Lisa and Harsh. And with that, we come to the end of this week's edition of Market Fatafat. Goodbye for Vinny, myself, our producer Sumashri, Ruchira, as well as the director Trevor, and the entire team of ET Now. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next week.